Good afternoon. Welcome to the November 12th, 2024 Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. Ms. Cobb, will you please call roll?
Shante Hall.
Present.
Richard Eslick.
Here.
Corey Cornegay.
Here.
Fred Walker.
Here.
Melissa Venable.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Terrific. Are there any corrections to the previous BZA minutes? If not, may I have a motion to accept?
So moved. Second.
And a second, we have a motion for Mr. Eslick and a second for Mr. Carnegie. By just a yay or nay, could we, do we have a acceptance of the approval of the minutes?
Yay.
Yay.
Yay. Yes.
Terrific. The minutes are accepted. Our first agenda item this afternoon is BZA 28-2024, tax map number 35H, parentheses 3B25A, Anita Baker for SRHA. Is this a continuation or is this a new application?
The one that was deferred from last month.
Right, so this is a continuation of the application for last month, so there will not be a public hearing?
We did re-advertise it because she changed the setback, so yes, there can be a public hearing.
Okay, terrific. Ms. Cobb, will you please go ahead and read the caption?
Before the Board of Zoning Appeals today is BZA 28-2024. The applicant, Anita Baker, on behalf of Suffolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority, is requesting a variance to reduce the required interior side yard setback from 10 feet to 8.3 feet and the required side yard adjacent to a street from 25 feet to 12.4 feet for construction of a new single-family dwelling. The property is identified as tax map 35H, parentheses 3, parentheses B25A, located on Lucerne Avenue, zoning classification, residential medium density. When you act on this request, you'll be acting on a request to reduce the required interior side yard setback from 10 feet to 8.3 feet and the required side yard adjacent to a street from 25 feet to 12.4 feet for construction of a new single-family dwelling. Should the board decide in favor of approving this request, the 8 findings as listed in your package must be articulated as part of the motion. We'll now have staff analysis and recommendation by William Mellon, zoning administrator.
Good afternoon, board members. Walk through the slides. It's general location map. We have the zoning and land use map surrounding zonings, all RM residential medium. Sign that indicates public hearing sign was reposted for today's date. And the updated site plan. Here's the elevations. To the site plan. The applicant, Anita Baker, on behalf of the Suffolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority, is requesting a variance from the Unified Development Ordinance, Article 4, Section 31-407C, Table 407-1, Dimensional Standards L, to reduce the required interior side setback from 10 feet to 8.3, and the required side yard setback adjacent to a street from 25 feet to 12.4 for construction of a new single-family dwelling. Property is identified as tax map 35H, parentheses 3, B25A, located on Lucerne Avenue, Whaleyville Voting Borough, zone classification RM, residential medium. This variance request was advertised in the Suffolk News Herald, and a notice was mailed to the adjacent property owners in accordance with Section 15.2-2204 of the Code of Virginia. The public notice sign was posted on the property pursuant to the request of the zoning administrator. Based on citizen input at the last meeting, October 8th, Board of Zoning Appeals, the applicant has revised the application to provide a greater setback along Orlando Street. The applicant is requesting a reduction to the required interior side yard setback from 10 feet to 8.3 and the required side yard setback adjacent to the street from 25 to 2.4 for the construction of a new single-family dwelling.
12.4. 12.4.
12.4, my mistake. 12.4 for the construction of a new single-family dwelling. The applicant states that the residential medium setbacks will not allow for construction of a new single-family dwelling. The property was acquired by the Suffolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority in 2001 for the purpose of constructing housing for low to moderate income persons. The dimensional requirements for lots located in the RM zoning district require that they have a total land area of 10,000 square feet with a minimum street frontage of 60 feet and a minimum lot width of 80 feet as measured at the front setback line. According to the archived Nasman County records of 1914, this platted 39 by 100-foot lot predates the merging of the county with the city of Suffolk and is legally non-conforming, as it is approximately 3,900 square feet. Without the setback reductions, a single-family dwelling which maintains the required 20-foot minimum width cannot be constructed on this lot. Therefore, staff recommends approval of this request.
Thank you. And can you just remind us what the setback requests were in the previous meeting versus what the setback requests are today?
It was 10-foot 3 from the interior line and 10-foot 4 from Orlando Street, the property line along Orlando.
So they increased the property setback from the street
By
by
2
2 feet?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Is there any other questions for William? Thank you, sir. We will now open our public hearing. Hearings are 30 minutes in length, 10 minutes for proponents, 15 minutes for opposition, and 5 minutes for rebuttal. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this application?
I'm Anita Baker with the Suffolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority, and I speak in favor of this application.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Baker. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of the application? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of the application?
That at 514 Lucerne Avenue, which is where they talk about building. Can you step up to the mic, Mr. Jones? Yes. Ernest Jones, 514 Lucerne Avenue, which is the main street down there, where they saying they want to build this house at. And there's not, it don't seem like me, it's not a little space, period. Simple. So they want to cheat this. They want to draw the house in, and then, just to build it. But that's not right. I mean, in front of the house, there's a sewer line right in front of it. There's a water hydrant there, in between there. So there's, if a house was built there, there'd be no way to get, to get through there. I may not be saying it right, but it's not. There's a 5-foot sewer grate in front. And about 7 foot from that, maybe 30 foot from that, there's a fire hydrant there. And between the fire hydrant and the street, there's only 7 feet of a sidewalk. That's on the side of what they're talking about. So it's not, to me, don't make sense. They buy property, but they didn't look at it with the whole thing. And if they would build a house there, they would have to have a driveway. The driveway would be, I just don't see it. So I may not be saying it right, but it's bad. I intended to take pictures so I could show y'all better, but I didn't. But they showing the stuff on the map. That's fine and dandy, but it don't really show you what's really going on there. So I'm thoroughly opposed. Like I said, I stay on that street. I'm 71 years old come Saturday. I've been on that street 68 years at least on that street. And in my neighborhood, we keep the grass mowed and everything. We did, keep it as good as possible. See, they never come to that. They had to cut nothing. We do all that. And now they want to come in and build a house, but it just ain't right. I mean, just ain't no room. And they'll build a house there, it'll be, I just don't see it. Like I say,
Tell me your name again, sir.
Ernest Jones.
Ernest Jones.
Yes.
Thank you,
Junior.
Mr.
My dad stayed there. I came there, so we there. Lifelong resident of Lucerne Avenue.
All righty, thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here to speak in opposition?
Is it okay if I speak for my wife as well?
Yeah, that'd be great if you could give us your name and address.
Okay, I live on 209 Pitchkill Road. My name's Cody Iveron.
I just want to be sure you are speaking in against the application that we're looking at, not the Pitch Kettle Road application.
I am.
You are what?
I am against.
This application or the application that's on Pitch Kettle Road?
Sir, you're on the next case.
The next. Okay. Belay my last.
We'll talk to you in just a minute then. Is there anyone else here to speak in opposition to the property, BZA, the application BZA 28-2024 on Lucerne Avenue? It is on the corner of, just so we're clear, Lucerne Avenue and Orlando Street. I just want to verify, you guys, the next application is on Pitch Kettle Road, right? This is Lucerne but you can speak on either or both. We're good? Anyone else to speak in opposition? Ms. Baker, is there anything else you'd like to add? Okay, that'll close this public hearing. Do we have any questions or comments or motion?
Got a motion for approval. I've been to that location where she's at and everything, and where that fire hydrant that he's speaking of is not in the construction way of where they're trying to build it. So I'm in motion for approval.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a motion for approval and a motion and a second of that motion. I just want to add, Mr. Jones, it looks like they're going to take access for the property from Lucerne and not from Orlando. And I want to be clear that this property, this is just a BZA variance to look at setbacks. The city will have to, after this, review the property for all utility connections, for construction access, for grading, and so on and so forth. But I will add that often we have properties that are very close to this size that were platted years and years and years ago. And even though they don't meet current zoning requirements, that's why they're here today, they are very much like or similar to the properties that are surrounding. So the houses that currently are on M-A-H-L-O-N, Malone, thank you, on Malone Avenue, and the other homes on Lucerne Avenue are very similar in size. And Ms. Baker was kind enough to come back with a second application, shifting this house further away from Orlando Street, so there would be enough room if Orlando Street needed to be widened, and also this gives us the appropriate width for a sidewalk along Orlando if they choose. Is there one there currently? There is. I think there's one currently there. But this provides a little bit more setback and distance from Orlando and a larger side yard setback. So I'm really pleased to see that they worked with us at least to give us a little bit more space there. So we have a motion for approval and a second. Is there any discussion of the motion? Ms. Cobb, will you please call for a vote?
Shante Hall,
Yes.
Richard Eslick,
Yes.
Corey Cornegay,
Yes.
Melissa Venable,
Yes.
Fred Walker.
I'm sorry, yes, based on the hardship criteria findings. Just wanted to note that.
Fred Walker.
Yes.
The motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much, Ms. Baker. I appreciate you working with us on that, or working with staff. The next application today is BZA 29-2024 207 Pitch Kettle Road, submitted by Outstanding Homes, Inc. Ms. Cobb, will you please read the caption?
Before the Board of Zoning Appeals today is BZA 29-2024. The applicant, Patrick Olds of Outstanding Homes Incorporated, is requesting a variance to reduce the required front yard setback from 25 feet to 19.8 feet, the required side yard setbacks from 10 feet to 3.5 feet, and to increase the impervious coverage from 40% to 41.3% for construction of a new single-family dwelling. The property is identified as tax map 34G 16 parentheses A parentheses star 6, located at 207 Pitch Kettle Road, zoning classification residential medium density. When you act on this request, you'll be acting on a request to reduce the required front yard setback from 25 feet to 19.8 feet, required side yard setbacks from 10 feet to 3.5 feet, and to increase impervious coverage from 40% to 41.3% for construction of a new single-family dwelling. Should the board decide in favor of approving this request, the 8 findings as listed in your package must be articulated as part of the motion. We will now have staff analysis and recommendation by William Melling, zoning administrator.
And we'll go through the slides if everyone's ready. General location map. Here's our zoning and land use. You can see we have RM to the east and to the north, and to the south there's RU, which is residential urban, and then the tiny corner is business 2, general business. Oop. Here's our sign for this meeting showing it was properly posted. As you can see, here's our site plan, and you can see the challenges this lot has. The applicant, Outstanding Homes Incorporated, is requesting a variance from the Unified Development Ordinance, Article 4, Section 31-407C, Table 407-1, Dimensional Standards E, J, and L, to reduce the required front yard setback from 25 feet to 19.8, the required side yard setbacks from 10 feet to 3.5 feet, and to increase the maximum impervious coverage from 40% to 40.3%. The property is identified as tax map and parcel 34G 16 parentheses A asterisk 6, located at 207 Pitch Kettle Road, Suffolk, Virginia. Suffolk Voting Borough zoning classification RM residential medium. This variance request was advertised in the Suffolk News Herald, and a notice was mailed to adjacent property owners in accordance with Section 15.2-2204 of the Code of Virginia. The public notice sign was posted on the property pursuant to the request of the zoning administrator. The applicant's requesting a variance to reduce the required front yard setback from 25 feet to 19.8, the required side yard setbacks from 10 feet to 3.5 feet, and to increase the maximum impervious coverage from 40 to 41.2%. This lot's unique to the RM zoning district due to its narrowness compared to the current requirements of the residential medium district, which requires a minimum of 60 feet street frontage and 80-foot lot width at the setback line with 10,000 square feet in total land area. The request to increase the maximum permitted impervious coverage of 1.3% is incidental when you consider the lot is 2,446 square feet in size. With the property being deeded in 1883, the strict application of the current dimensional standards established for development in the RM zoning district would render the parcel undevelopable. Therefore, staff recommends approval of this request.
At the podium. Thank you, sir. I just want to note, as I mentioned previously, that we are voting based upon the 8 findings of the hardship criteria that are in our package. Due to a lack of hardship, obviously, or I should say we need to find a hardship in the application to be able to move forward. We will open our public hearing. Hearings are 30 minutes in length, 10 minutes for proponents, 15 minutes for opposition, and 5 minutes for rebuttal. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this application?
Good afternoon. I'm Patrick Oles of Outstanding Homes Incorporated. We're here to not only beautify, but to increase the value of the property in the neighborhood. As you can see, it was a very challenging lot. The architect had to design and redesign the home to fit the lot. I think that we've met the requirements of redesigning this lot, and hopefully that you will find it in our favor to allow us to construct this new single family home.
Is that all? Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of this application?
Jimmy McCrae. I live at 204 Pitchkittle Road. My concern is with parking on this lot. I feel as if the home is built and there's more than one vehicle at that residence, you're going to have on-street parking. That's a very, very narrow street, and it would be challenging for myself to have unencumbered access to my driveway, which is directly across the street from it. And also, there's a drainage issue already on Pitchkittle Road. And another residence on this lot only increased the drainage issue that already exists. Having grown up on the lot across the street from that proposed home that's going to be constructed, this lot had a house on it at one time, but that house did not have a driveway because there was no room for it. And that's my issue. If whoever lives in that house has more than one vehicle at that residence, there will be no place for them to park. And there's a lot of high-speed traffic that comes through Pitchkittle Road. And I am concerned about an accident.
Thank you, sir, very much. Can you please repeat your first name again?
My name is Jimmy L. McCrae.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else to speak in opposition of this application? Please come to the podium.
Right lot this time? Yeah. So,
Glad we got it straight.
my name's Cody Ivorone. I live directly next to this lot, and this lot's tiny. I mean, it does not look fit to build a home there as far as, from what I could tell, I don't know. But I mean, it'd be so close to my house. I'm just thinking, like, what if there's a fire? You know, it could, I thought that's why they don't build houses smack dab or right next to each other anymore. Things like that. And it's just, it doesn't look like a spot where you could build a home. I mean, like he said, like, parking's already rough and it's a narrow street. You don't want to, like, clog that up even more, especially with how fast people are driving through there, like he had said. But yeah, it's just not suitable for to build a home there, in my opinion.
Okay, thanks. If you all would stand by for questions, or have a seat, we'll call you up if we have additional questions. Is there anyone else to speak in opposition? Sir, is there anything else you'd like to add in support of the application? God bless you. Sure.
I would like to address Mr. McCrae's concern.
Sure.
We do have two 9x18 parking spots in the driveway. In front of the house, sir. So even if the new residents do have two vehicles, they will not be parking on the street. They have their own driveways.
Thank you, sir. That closes this public hearing. Do we have any questions, comments, or motion?
Only side setback they're asking for is the one that's on the left side, so it's not on the one that's on the right side of the house, right?
I believe it's both sides are 3.5 feet. I will state for the record that I typically do not support anything under 5 feet because I do think it's problematic with adjacent property owners, specifically with the adjacent property owner being here and noting that that is not comfortable for them. Typically, a minimum for me is a 5-foot setback. 3.5 feet is very tight. And because we all know of drainage issues out in that area, exceeding the impervious calculation is problematic for me as well. Are there any questions? Are there comments? Are there questions for the folks that are here that have come up graciously to speak?
I'd like to point out that, in the past, we've approved a number of these where there needs to be an exception on the setbacks. But with this particular one, I have a problem also. Bless you. I have a problem also, mainly because it's so close to the adjoining property. That's a concern for me. The parking is not a concern for me. But, I just think that sometimes there are just some lots that are not suitable to build on. And this might be one of them, in my opinion. And I would like to point out, if we look at could the builder step back up?
William, I think you'd like to talk with the builder
Builder or bill?
or the gentleman,
I'm sorry.
the applicant.
The width of the house at the front is 22 feet.
That's correct.
Is there a possible, it would help if it were only 20 feet as opposed to 22 feet. And you just can't do that?
Yes, we could do that, sir.
It's what he's saying, if you go to the 20 feet, you wouldn't be at your 3.5, you'll be basically like at your 5.
At least on the
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's hard to hear your mic for whatever reason.
I'm sorry. So what he's saying, Mr. O's, is, all right, see where you have your house is 22.
Yes, sir.
All right, so if you make your house 20 feet,
Yes, sir.
if you make your house 20 feet, then you wouldn't be at that 3.5
We'll be at 5.5.
or close to that.
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So, it's up to you to
Yes, sir.
revise this.
Yes, sir.
and
I can
come back-
revise that.
And come back
I
and
can
then
revise that, and we can do that, sir, if that's what it takes to pass.
I asked for us to table this if.
Yeah,
if that's
if I
that's
could
the
add
case.
one more thing in regard to the width. If there's a way to work with staff to allow as much distance on the right-hand side, which would be next to the gentleman who was talking about it being too close to his house.
Yes, sir.
Cody Albertson.
Right, and I don't know whether it can be done or not, but if the house could even be moved a little further to the left and make more of an exception to the left because of what is adjacent to on the left, that would seem a lot more amenable to me. And just to let you know, with no guarantees, but I think if we made an effort to do that, I would be inclined to approve it.
Yes, sir.
So,
We have a motion to table the application, is that right?
You got, first of all, Mr. O's, you understand what we?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Totally.
All right. Okay. So for the table this for the next meeting.
So we have a motion for Mr. Carnegie to table the application.
Both names all right.
All is correct. To table the application for 30 days, 60 days?
How long would you need, Mr. O's, to,
A couple of weeks, just for my architect to redesign it.
so would you like to do the 30 days
Yes, sir.
or the 60 days?
30 days.
30 days.
We'd like to do it for 60 days, just to give your architect enough time. That would put you on January,
Okay.
is that?
If I could add, I think to have the little bit of cushion with the time, 60 rather than 30 days, if staff needs to get re-involved, that'll give them some time to work with it too. So I think to be on the safe side, that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, then plus the holidays in there too, so,
Okay.
yeah.
So we're talking second Tuesday in January?
January 14th. January 14th.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Well, wait, we have to vote on that.
Oh,
We
I'm
just
sorry.
So we have a motion, you welcome to have a seat. We have a motion to revise, I'm sorry, we have a motion to hear this application in 60 days by Mr. Carnegie. Do we have a second of the motion?
A second.
Do we have a discussion of the motion? We have a motion to table the application for 60 days. Ms. Cobb, will you please call for a vote?
Shante Hall.
Yes.
Richard Eslick.
Yes.
Corey Carnegie.
Yes.
Melissa Venable.
Yes.
Fred Walker.
Yes.
The motion carries 5-0.
So we have a motion to hear this again for the property, for the side yard setbacks to be increased and potentially the impervious area also to be, to meet the standards. So we'll hear this again in January, and I thank you folks for coming out today to state your opinion. Is there anything else or any other items? Okay, that closes today's public hearing. Thank you so much.